Hello everyone, this is Priyanshu, Choubey, Assistant Professor of Subsoil, Bihar University. Today we will talk about the soil profile and different horizon. Talk about the different soil horizon and sub-horizon, topsoil and subsoil also. Uh, last last we already is seen and talk about soil taxonomy. So let's see soil profile. Uh, Soil profile definition of a soil are various according to use for which it put for a pedologist soil. Is a natural body, both spatially and temporal forms at the surface is a result of a complex biochemical and physical process and is capable of supporting life and can be mapped at an appropriate scale. A genius defines soil as the unconsolidated material above bedrocks, and geologists define as a natural medium for the growth of the plants and lands. Many a time, agronomy soils is expanded to a soul of infinity life. Soil microbiologist rightly define soil as a polished society or community that is governed by a soil organism where fungi are the governing organism in the forest soil where other microbes are the governs soil managers in other ecosystem according to the FAO. Soil is a natural body consisting of layers, means soil horizon that are the composed of weathered minerals, organic matters, air, and water. Is it a naturally made a medium for the growth of plants? The soil can be viewed as the independent dynamic body of natural nature that acquires properties in accordance with the force with act upon it. Soil as a natural body. So, soil is a natural body as a formed under various ecosystems with the help of the various factors. Is it the and product of the combined influence of a natural process controlled by a climate, topography, organism, parent material, and climates. So, soil as a porous system. So, soil consists of three different phases as it exits for all matter. These are solid, liquid, and gases. And ideal soil has a ratio two ratio. 1:1 for a solid liquid and gas on the volume basis. This figure this circle the 50% area of a solid and 25% area gas and liquid percentage is 25%. So soil contain pores which are of two types, namely macro and micro pores. Soil has a natural system is a ports and permits flow of water within the matrix. Soil as a living body. So mineral soil hardly contain 1 to 2% organic matter. Most of the soil materials are inorganic. Aluminium silicates. Yet the soil is considered as a living body since it help a survivor of the numerous micro and macroorganisms through physical and nutritional supports. Many scientists believe that there are more species in existence below the soil surface than about this figure. Some organisms are plant and human pathogens, and most of them are belong and beginning. Now is the soil surface. So soil profile and its layer horizon. Soil profile form the surface soil looks similar. However, the soil has a profile with the distinct characteristics in different layer below show the signatures of its genesis and importance of plant growth. So, a soil profile may be defined as a vertical section of the soils that is exposed when a soil is dug down the surface. In other words, an expositions of the set of horizons from the ground surface to the parent rocks is termed as a soil profile. Soil profile is an important tool for nutrient managers, for pedologists. Pedology, the study of soil patterns, uh, and edaphology. The study of soil fertility management who can interrupt various signatures of soil forming factors. Now, soil horizons. Soil horizon or horizon is a layer generally parallel to the soil surface. Soil horizon differ in terms of various parameters such as color, structure, texture, boundaries, thickness, and other details such as lime, iron, and nodules, and root density. The exact designations of horizons are confirmed in terms of physical, chemical, and mineralogical properties with the help of the laboratory data. Uh, Typically, alluvial black and red soil in India are available, and in this picture already shown. Capital letters of O, A, B, C, and F are used to designate a specific soil horizon. Is capital letter along with its description of horizon in is uh, described here. So the O horizon refers to a organic matter connecting a soil layer mixed with the mineral matter. The this horizon is usually common in forest floor area. Uh, O horizon may be a two types. O1 is a decomposed matter of known origin, say leaves, and O2 well decomposed organic matter. Well decomposed organic matter. A horizon is the topmost surface soil horizon, connecting partially decomposed organic matter which rarely exceeds 1% soil organic. carbon in Indian soil under agriculture. Horizon is a layer where a maximum biological activities are observed as is evidenced by a more microorganism and roots. After that, the E horizon was not in the older variation of the textbook of the soil science soil service staff introduced it to denote a soil layer which is depleted in terms of clay, iron, and aluminum oxide. The horizon is known as the alluvial horizon. B horizon is the zone of accumulation. The process of accumulation is called the alluvial horizon. Alluvial horizon, and the clay mostly translocated from the E horizon along with F, iron, aluminium oxide show as a clay in the B horizon is soils known as alphy salts and alti salts. The B horizons can be divided into B1, B2, and B3 depending on the slightly variations of the texture, structure, and other physical chemical parameters. For instance, B horizon in a black soil. Vertisalts with slack a slackened sides is denoted as a BSS. Uh, uh, C horizon is the horizon which denoted a parent material. I ideally is should be the material from which the soil ever is formed interstantly since many soils are the translocated by water and or air. Sea horizon may not have a parental legacy with the upper horizon in the transition of the B and C horizon. Sometimes a layer may be seen with has mixed properties of the B and C horizons. Such a layer is designated as the BC horizon. So, next one is the R horizon below the C horizon. It is the layer of bedrocks. Unlike the upper layers, it is the composed mainly consolidated masses of hard rocks and cannot be dug easily. Beside this horizon are D and L layers are literature. The D layers refers to a horizon which is not BC and B either. The L horizon refers to a limic material consisting of a pit diatoms and other marl layers. Top and subsoil by a large the surface horizon varying 0.15 to 50 and 15 to 25 centimeter depth are the mostly consisting of the A horizon is in the agricultural land is referred to the topsoil. The O horizon seen is the forest soil is not considered since these are the rarely used for agriculture. Topsoil soil harbors most of the microorganisms permitting organic matter decomposition. The roots proliferate in the topsoil. Most of the biological activity remains at its peak in the topsoil, since many agriculture crops, including the cereals and vegetables, are shallow roots. These crops depend on the quality of the topsoil in terms of its capacity to supply nutrients and water. This is one of the major reason of the collecting and analyzing the surface soil for soil testing. The subsoil on the refers to the B horizon in the soil. This horizon is characterized by the accumulated materials from A or E horizons and the often rich in the clay and that possess more cation exchange capacity. Since the biological activity gradually decreases down the soil depth, the organic matter and nitrogen content usually exhibit a decreasing trend in the top subsoil. It may be noted that although shallow-rooted plants depend heavily on the topsoil, and the perennial crops often survive because of the nutrient and moisture retained in the subsoil. Besides, soil is a dynamic entity and in quantum with the topsoil properties which are often controlled by the subsoil and the reservoirs. The soil component, solid, liquid, and gases are sparsely arranged to form a soil body which differentiated into a distinct layer known as the soil horizons. Soil result of interaction among a pedosphere and hydrosphere and biosphere and atmosphere. Soil is in the interface between atmosphere, including a biosphere, hydrosphere, and pedosphere. Soil is the ultimate result and interaction of the various factors such as the climate, atmosphere, hydrosphere, relief, biosphere, and organism biosphere, apparent material, pedosphere, and time. The combined influence of this factor help in forming a soil showing a different properties. Parent material refers to the material form which the soil formed. It might be include weather rocked materials, residue. Parent materials are parents material. Inorganic parent material of soil are mineral content in consolidated and unconsolidated rocks of the earth's surface. The most important minerals are silicate, nesosilicates, inosilicates, phyllosilicates, and tectosilicates. Parent material formed in organic source consist of the various type of rocks, igneous, basalt, granite, sedimentary, sandstone, limestone, dolomite, slate, and metamorphic genesis and crust, quartzite, slate, marble. Types of source of parent material. So types of source of parent material is parent material sources. So first one, alluvium, alluvium, collovium, luxtrine, marine, organic, outwash, residuum, till. So, illoline, illoline sediment transported and deposited by the air, common in sand and dunes. Illuvium sediment transported deposited by the water, river and streams, and collovium sediment transported deposited by a gravity, common in a higher elevations and foot areas. foot hills, uh, Luxtrine sediment deposit by lakes, marine sediment deposit by the action of sea and oceans, organic materials accumulated as a several meters in thickness, common in deep forest, and outward sediments deposited by the flowing water, like glacier, may be a common source. Um, Residuum materials deposited due to a weathering of hard rocks in a place until sediment transported and deposited by the glacial tilla. So these are apparent types of source of parent material. Uh, Uh, the effect of this soil forming factor weathering a result in the formation layer within the soil from the surface down to varying at depth depending on the intensity of the weathering. These layers are called a horizon. The combination of these layers in the sequence from the surface of the soil down the represented a soil profile, root cut, and the other man-made extents excavations can expose soil profile and thus serve as a windows to the soil. Observing how soil exposed in these expansions vary from place to place and can add a fantastic new dimension to our understanding of soil. Once a soil, you have learned to interrupt the different horizon soil profile can warn you about a potential problem in use the land as well as tell you about the environmental and history of the region. For example, soil developed under the grassland and may have a very different soil profile that than those are developed for a Portland. So, weathering process, igneous and metamorphic rocks compress over a 95% of the earth. The earth crust, but cover only a 25% of surface. Sediments cover fewer than a 5% crust per 75% of the surface. Hence, they are the more important in the soil formation. The rocks and minerals of the earth's surface are affected by atmosphere and living organisms. They are broken down by the weathering, the product and the residues from the minerals weathering take part in a new formation of a secondary minerals which becomes part of the soil. Relief or topography indicates the slope, its aspect, and the extract position of landscape in an area. Hence, slope and its aspect governs moisture and vegetation. It has a great role in play in soil formation and decide soil properties such as the depth, minerals makeup, and particle size of separate sand, silt, and clay and organic matter. This altitude of land surface, its inclinations and aspect of north, south, east, and west affect the relation between a rock surface and soil surface and the water table susceptibility or to erosion and lateral movement of the water in the soil. It's also influence the micro climate and hence the vegetations. The depth of a groundwater holding and the water or a flooding or whether groundwater has a dominant influence in the soil formation. Erosion carries away a soil rock fragments in running water. This steeper the slope and the less permeable the soil. The getter is the erosive effect, the rainfall, the input of radiation energy, sunlight varies with the gradient, the orientation of the slope. This affect temperature and evaporation and the frequently rainfall distribution. Thus, the effect of the microclimate and vegetation on the soil are the always modify in general south facing slope or the warmer and drier than north facing, while west facing slope contain more moisture than east facing slope. Overall, the soil forming process are more intensive on a northwest slope, and while other factors remain constant. Climate on important component of the atmosphere controls the pedosphere. Also, it direct influence of soil temperature and soil water relationship, and has indirect effect via vegetation, radiation, energy effect of rocks and the soil temperature, thus the control rate and weathering and decomposition. All the biological, chemical, physical process are the temperature depend. Temperature also has an indirect effect on the water loss through evaporation from a soil surface and transpiration. Combined vapor transpiration increase with a rise in temperature and falling vapor saturation of air. Resultantly, the temperature greatly affected the water relationship. Water is essential for all biological, chemical, and physical transformation process. It controls the profile differentiation through first one percolations, rainfall, and evaporations, and second is ascent potential evaporations, rainfall, surface erosion. Percolation, it means less than rainfall but greater than evaporations. And ascent, ascent potential evaporations, it means less than rainfall. Surface erosion and the waterlogging, which affect the process translocations of materials from the topsoil. Various factors such as the rainfall, temperature, and their seasonal variations, characteristics, and area in terms of its bioclimatic system. For humid and some humid, semi-arid or arid, the extent to which climate influences soil formation and profile differentiation depends on the weather. To what extent of water penetrate into the soil, and since it's a various, so do the properties of soil in a different chemical climatic system. The interaction of the biosphere in the form vegetation is soil formation is interesting since is not an independent factor. It results from the interaction of rocks, climate, and the and soil. Type of vegetation is largely determined by the climate over very large areas, thus as main climatic zone correspond with the characteristics of the major types of the vegetation. More tundra in the north of the global conifers. Uh, Dangerous and forest steppe, uh, semi-desert and desert to the rain forests of the humid tropics vegetations, in addition to having a modifier effect by climate also, so provides the parent organic material matter of a soil from which a mineral and organic soil, so muck, uh, mala more can form. Smoothness effect of the extremes of the temperature and humidity affects their microclimate and or the pedoclimate in the soil is influence of soil formation. The protects the soil surface against erosion and the leaching of nutrient. Plant also bring up nutrient from the lower levels of the soil and return to the surface. A leader conservation in the nutrient cycle and also affect the soil fauna and contribute organic matter and affect the soil forming process. And through anthropogenic human interventions influence on the soil consists of the directly by a cultivations and indirectly by the influencing vegetations, climate relief, and the parent material. Human interference may either slow down or hasten up soil formation, and depending on situation his can this can lead to a soil degradations. Soil is one of the most important natural resource of the earth. It is basically made up of the two components, organic and inorganic. Most of the mineral soil are poor the mineral soil are a poor organic component as a matter of effect in tropical soil of India. The soil organic carbon content rarely exceeds uh, 1.0 to 1.5%. Logically, therefore, the entire components of the soil is inorganic on the weight basis. Soil and organic weight basis on volume basis, as discussed earlier, soil is composed of three phases: solid, gas, and the liquid uh, with a general ratio 2 ratio 1 ratio 1. So soil phase mineral components soil accept organic soil like a pit and muck. Soils accept organic soil like pit and mucks are dominantly inorganic and contain mineral matter. This mineral matter may be grouped into a crystalline and non-crystalline and amorphous component. Crystalline components, these components as defined by inorganic materials in a soil which are crystalline towards X-rays, producing characteristic differentiation peak showing the presence of crystalline minerals. Minerals are naturally occurring in organic form, so define ordered atomic arrangement and chemical composition. Minerals present in a clay uh, less than 2 amnion fractions are called clay minerals. The minerals vary in size. Some are as a large and as a rocks fragments, and a few are so small that we need a electron microscope to see those particles. Minerals are generally grouped into a primary, uh, which are formed at the time of rocks formation, example quartz, and secondary formed from the primary minerals by a weathered process, example aluminium silicate minerals. By and large primary minerals are more frequently found in the coarser fragments of a soil, such as sand greater than 50 uh, amnion and silt 52 and frictions where clay less than 2 are usually dominated by the secondary minerals. Non-crystalline amorphous components. Non-crystalline, there are known as allophans. Um, Elephants, a Greek word allo and otherwise for zin, which are amorphous or paracrystalline clay minerals. Those structure or composition still uncertain. They occur frequently in soil formed volcanic ash. Non-crystalline and amorphous components are also found in soil which are highly weathered, especially red soil from high rainfall areas. They are found as the oxide and iron and aluminium. Soil organic matter. It forms 1 to 5% of the solid parts of the soil. Although it occupies less but has a large role to play in controlling morphological, physical, and chemical properties of soil. Soil organic matter is the sole source of native nitrogen in soil. Soil organic matter is a sole source of native nitrogen in soil and contains other important nutrients, mainly sulfur and phosphorus. The soil organic matter is important for soil structure. It influences the water, air, and temperature of the soil, which indirectly influence various soil plant process. It is made up of a living organism of the soil, flora and fauna, living in dead plants, roots, which may be partially decomposed and modified with the newly synthesized organic substance of plant and animal origin. Organic matter may be grouped broadly into two different classes, namely original tissues of plant and animals, gibbers, and the partially decomposed product and humus. Thus, humus includes a highly decomposed soil. Organic matter include that materials. It is a decomposition product of a small plant roots, shade, and aerial parts of a high plant, little straw, and organism of soil flora and fauna. Organic matter is the important source of energy for a soil microorganism. It should be noted that for the normal soil The solid air water ratio by volume is maintained as 2:1:1. If the relative proportion of the one component change, it affect other components. If the balance is not maintained, the soil behaves abnormally and is often called as the degraded soil. It is therefore important that the proper ratio of these three components is maintained. So here is completed some brief introduction about soil and their fundamental concept.